Hi, I'm Slingfin Tim. I like hiking. I also like riding bikes. I've done a lot of both, and today I'm going to go through 8 pieces of gear that are popular in the ultralight backpacking world that I would never go bikepacking without. Now, I grew up backpacking and riding bikes as a kid, but I didn't get into bikepacking until a few years ago, after I had some thru hikes under my belt. This sent me down the rabbit hole into the culty world of ultralight backpacking. I spent hours weighing all my gear, sawing off my toothbrush handles, and optimizing my down weight to garment weight ratio. You don't have to spend much time staring at a spreadsheet comparing the CLO values of Polartec Alpha, PrimeLoft Gold, and ClimateShield Apex to realize that ultralight backpackers are on the cutting edge of gear nerdiness. Since then, I've gone deep into bikepacking, culminating with the 2,700-mile Tour Divide self-supported bikepacking race last summer. I realized that there's not actually that much information sharing between the worlds of bikepacking and ultralight backpacking. And consequently, there are a lot of great pieces of gear that ultralight backpackers have been using for years that bikepackers haven't adopted yet, even though they could be hugely beneficial. The first piece of gear I'm going to talk about is the venerable sun hoodie. These things have been around forever in the ultralight backpacking world. They're a big favorite among alpine guides, among rafters, and they're great for bikepacking too. I was shocked on the Tour Divide to see so many people wearing short sleeve bike jerseys, stopping every couple hours to put sunscreen on, and then still getting torched on their neck and forearms anyway. I even took a little piece of Velcro and stuck it to my helmet here, and then I sewed another little piece of Velcro to my hood on the sun hoodie so it doesn't flop around in the wind and get blown off of my head. Now, I can already hear some roadie somewhere saying, "But what about aero?" Well, the thing is, at the moderate speeds that most bikepackers are riding, the aero gains of tight-fitting clothing are really pretty negligible. I wore this sun hoodie every single day on the Arizona Trail and the Tour Divide, and I wouldn't have wanted anything else. Number 2, no pun intended, is kind of a curveball, but it kind of rocked my world. This is an ultralight bidet. Butt hygiene is super important on long backpacking trips, and it's even more important when you're biking long days and your butt is a little more heavily involved. This is a $5 wash bottle from the internet. I really like this particular style because it has great water pressure. I didn't see a single other person on the Tour Divide carrying one of these. On the flip side, I heard lots of stories about people having to drop out of the Tour Divide because of saddle sores and chafe that just got out of control, that probably could have been prevented with better hygiene. When you're wearing the same chamois day in and day out, the importance of being squeaky clean after you do your business cannot be overstated. I'm not going to demonstrate how to use this, but I bet you can figure it out. Number 3 is bread bags. Nothing fancy here. These are literally just the plastic bags you get from grocery store loaves of bread. Wear them over your socks, but under your shoes. These little beauties are clutch for keeping your feet warm when it's cold and wet and nasty out. For the Tour Divide, I made a homemade version of these out of cell nylon. Not only did these do a great job of keeping my perennially cold feet warm, they also made me look ready for an 80s workout video. Very fashionable. The technical term for a non-permeable layer that prevents evaporative heat loss and water ingress is a vapor barrier liner. Tell your friends this and you'll totally impress them. Or maybe they won't want to be friends with you anymore because you're such a dork. But they didn't deserve you anyway. Plus, you have warm feet. Okay, number 4 is near and dear to my heart. Tents. Now, as a shelter designer, this one really gets me. Bikepackers are wedded to bivy sacks in a way that I just cannot understand. Bivvies are basically rain jackets for your sleeping bag. And on paper, they make a lot of sense. They pack down pretty small, they're easy to use, and in theory, they should keep you dry at night. But here's the thing. Modern tarp shelters are just as light as bivvies. They pack down just as small. Also, bivvies are veritable condensation factories, and there's no room for activities. Here's an example. This is our 4-person cinder cone pyramid tarp. This is what I use for my primary shelter on the Tour Divide. It packs down to about the same size as many waterproof bivy sacks. In a bivvy, I don't have room to sit up. In this, I have room for me and my bike and plenty of room to spread out all my gear. Plus, I can even stand up to change. Bivvies sound great until you actually need them. But as soon as you spend a rainy night in one, I think you'll agree that those soggy body socks aren't worth not bringing a real shelter. Most bikepackers will agree that it's best to avoid wearing a backpack on the bike if at all possible. But if you have to wear one, either for additional water storage or easy access to gear, you can't do better than a running vest style backpack. These are small backpacks made for ultralight backpacking with lots of storage options and pockets in the straps and underneath the pack, which is something that I haven't seen in cycling specific packs. This is perfect for accessing small essentials during the day while you're on your bike. Some riders just wear standard running vests, which are a great option if you don't need a lot of extra storage space, but I prefer something like this Natural Pack Tiempo. It has 15 liters of internal storage space, which is enough for a water bladder, some extra layers, and any food that doesn't fit in my frame bag. I kept my sunscreen in here. I kept my buff in here. I kept my wallet in here. I kept my headlamp in here. And I even had a little pocket for trash and food wrappers. If I can't avoid riding with a backpack, I'll take one of these over a cycling specific pack anytime. This one's not technically a piece of gear, but I think CalTopo is an indispensable tool for anyone who plans their own routes. If I'm doing a complex backcountry route that involves single track and dirt roads, I always build it first on my computer using CalTopo. The capabilities of the CalTopo browser app are far beyond any of the cycling specific tools I've used. It has lots of layer options, many of them with roads and trails that don't show up on other platforms, plus lots of great overlays like cell coverage, public lands, and fire history. Heck, it even has a nifty geology layer, so you can see what kind of cool rocks you're standing on. For instance, I'm currently standing on intrusive igneous rock. Who knew? CalTopo is also what I used to split up the Tour Divide GPX into smaller chunks that my Garmin head unit could handle. If you download the maps on your phone for offline use, you can easily visualize the surrounding area and plan spontaneous detours much more easily than you could with Ride with GPS or Strava. CalTopo takes a little while to get the hang of, but believe me, it's worth it. Polartec Alpha Direct is hands down the best mid-layer material for high-intensity aerobic activities. This ultralight hoodie from Senshi Designs weighs 3.8 ounces. That's less than a cotton t-shirt, and it's super breathable. You can even see the gaps in the material that allow the moisture in your body to escape easily. This means you can keep wearing the layer comfortably over a wide range of temperatures and avoid a bunch of unnecessary layering breaks. Some cycling apparel companies are starting to catch on and using Alpha Direct in their clothing, but they always try to get fancy with face fabrics or pockets or other bells and whistles that make the clothes heavier and less breathable, which kind of defeats the purpose, in my opinion. Calm down, guys. You can't beat the weight, breathability, or packability of a pure Alpha Direct mid-layer like a Senshi or a Farpoint or a MacPack. Okay, so this one may seem totally off the wall, but hear me out. Vagisil is the best chafe cure in the world. I re-hiked most of the Washington PCT section a few years ago, and I hopped on with some thru-hikers who were doing 30-mile days. My soft body was completely unprepared, and by day 2, I had chafed so bad that my inner thighs were bleeding. I thought my hike was over, until one of the hikers brought out a tube of Vagisil, and I applied it liberally to my undercarriage. A few minutes later, I was pain-free, and I hiked the next 250 miles to Canada with no chafe whatsoever. It was like a miracle. But it's not a miracle, it's drugs. Don't ask me why it works, but it does. Just try it and thank me later. These are all hard-earned insights from many cold, sweaty, chafe-filled miles on foot, but I think they all deserve a place in any bikepacking setup. I hope you were able to learn something new and useful from this video. If you have any other pieces of backpacking or bikepacking gear that you think are criminally underrated, feel free to let me know in the comments below or get in touch with us at slinkpin.com.